Hey everyone, it's Paik here. Today I'm bringing you a weapons guide for Werewindsmith focused on combining the Panacea Fan with the Soul Shade Umbrella to obtain the best healing and support setup in the game. This setup is called the Silkbind Deluged Style. It's a hybrid support build designed to keep your team alive while boosting their damage and survivability. It's especially strong in online modes, whether you're playing PvE or PvP. Now for solo play, I'll be honest, this isn't the highest damage option. Your overall DPS will be on the lower side. That said, I've played it solo myself and it does work. The fan actually does acceptable damage. Still, if you prefer playing alone, I highly recommend mixing one of these two healing weapons with a DPS weapon. That way you keep the sustain and constant healing from your support weapon, while your offensive one takes care of the damage. It's a great combination for solo runs and can make you almost unkillable. Later in the video I'll show you how to do this, but if you're planning to play with others, then I'd suggest go in full healer support mode, pure team sustain, buffs and healing output. So yeah, without further delay, let's jump right into the guide. Before we start, there's something important to mention. Healing in this game is honestly a bit overpowered. Early on, when you barely have any healing potions, these weapons can heal you almost endlessly. Even if your damage is low, you heal so much that most enemies can't really threaten you. If you pair a healing weapon with a DPS one, you'll be dealing solid damage while healing more HP than you lose. It makes the game much easier. That's why the developers added a specific nerf to healing when you fight a major boss for the first time. During that first encounter, your healing is heavily reduced. You can still use potions normally, but if you heal with your weapons, your heal will be nerfed. Once you defeat the boss for the first time, the healing returns to normal, so future fights and farming attempts won't have the restriction anymore. Now, both weapons share the same resource, called Dew. You can see the green droplets at the bottom right of your HUD, next to your weapon icon. The maximum is 100 points, represented by 5 droplets, so each droplet is 20 points. Some skills will spend Dew, while others will recover it, so you'll constantly be balancing between spending and recovering Dew. It also regenerates slowly on its own over time. Before we get into each weapon, one quick thing: both the fan and the umbrella can deal damage, but I recommend using the umbrella mainly as your secondary weapon and the fan as your primary. Use the umbrella to activate its abilities, then swap to your fan or another DPS weapon to keep attacking or healing while the umbrella provides a passive support in the background. Let's start with the Soul Shade Umbrella. The light combo has 3 range hits, but you'll almost never use them. The heavy combo throws the umbrella forward, dealing 3 hits, but you'll never use this either. What matters is the charge heavy attack. If you hold it, the umbrella stays out spinning and hitting multiple times while draining your stamina. The damage isn't great, but if the target is posture broken, each hit extends the stagger duration by 0.2 seconds, up to 12 seconds cap. For solo play this is not very useful since you'd rather deal damage and finish the enemy when it's stunned, but in a team composition this is fantastic. Extending the stagger gives your teammates more time to deal big damage before the target recovers. Now let's talk about the umbrella heavy skill. When you press skill and the heavy together, the umbrella's canopy detaches and floats next to you. It stays active as long as you want. While it's floating, it passively heals you or the lowest HP ally every second, and if it heals you the effect is 50% stronger. You also gain 15% increased healing effectiveness overall, and you generate Dew passively up to a maximum of 60 Dew. Since your canopy is detached, your basic attacks turn into short-range sword slashes instead of umbrella hits. But I don't really recommend using those. The umbrella is all about activating this skill, getting your buffs and then swapping weapons. You can press the skill again to call the canopy back, the cooldown is 30 seconds and starts the moment you activate it, so if you cancel after 10 seconds, you'll have 20 seconds left before you can use it again. The best part is that when you switch weapons, the floating canopy stays active, healing and buffing you while you fight. That's why the umbrella works best as the secondary weapon. Activate the heavy skill, swap weapons and enjoy the benefits while doing damage or healing with something else. The light skill is done with skill and light attack and it's very simple. It basically gives your whole team a 20% damage boost for 12 seconds and also a small instant heal. The tricky part is that it also ends the floating canopy if it's active, which might sound like a downside, but you'll see later that it actually makes your rotation smoother. The cooldown of this skill is 30 seconds. Now let's talk about the umbrella rotation. Even though it might look like a complex weapon at first, it's actually very simple once you understand it. Basically, it all comes down to pressing 2 buttons in the right order. You want to start by using your light skill, which gives your team a 20% damage buff for 12 seconds. After that, immediately use your heavy skill to activate your floating umbrella. This is the canopy that stays by your side, healing and generating Dew over time. Once that's active, switch to your other weapons and keep fighting. That's the basic idea. From here, there are two main ways to bring the umbrella back into that rotation, depending on whether you're playing solo or in a team. If you're playing solo, once the 30 seconds cooldown of the umbrella skills have passed, swap back to the umbrella, press the light skill first. This will automatically store the floating canopy and refresh the damage buff at the same time, and then press the heavy skill to summon the floating umbrella again and swap back to your main weapon. So the solo rotation looks like this: light skill to retract and rebuff, then heavy skill to relaunch, then swap back to your other weapon. And this is why it's so useful that the light skill automatically retracts the canopy. Without it, you'd have to press the heavy skill to retract the umbrella, then the light skill for the buff, and then the heavy skill again to launch it. With this shortcut, it's just light, then heavy, and you're done. It makes the whole combo much smoother and faster. Now, if you're playing online or co-op, things change a little bit. While you're fighting with your other weapon, if you see that the boss becomes staggered, that's your cue to switch to the umbrella. First, if your floating canopy is still active, press the heavy skill to retract it, then hold your charge heavy attack to send the umbrella spinning forward. Each hit will extend the stagger duration, letting your team keep hitting for longer. Once that's done and your team has finished their burst, press the light skill to refresh the damage buff, and then press heavy skill again to launch the canopy back into the air, and finally switch back to your main weapon. That's the standard co-op version, but there's also the same shortcut. If you're mid-fight with another weapon and see the boss stagger, instead of retracting first, just switch to the umbrella and then press the light skill right away. This will buff your team and store the umbrella in one single move, then hold the charge heavy to extend the stagger. Press heavy skill again to summon the canopy and switch back to your main weapon. Now let's move on to the Panacea Fan. This one will be your main weapon while your umbrella is on cooldown. The Fan's light combo has 4 range hits that deal acceptable damage. However, the heavy combo has 3 healing hits instead of damage. This heals you and the lowest HP ally and also generate dew quite quickly. So when your skills are on cooldown, use light attacks for damage or heavy attacks to heal and refill dew. The heavy skill heals you and heals also the lowest HP ally over 6 seconds. It costs 50 dew, which is half your bar, but it has no cooldown. You could cast it twice in a row, but don't do that. The healing durations overlap, so you just waste dew. Wait for the first heal to end before using it again. However, this skill changes if you have an ally downed. It becomes a revive with 30 seconds cooldown, it consumes dew, and the more dew you spend, the more HP your teammate revives with. After a successful revive, you get a buff called Overflowing Dew for 5 seconds, which doubles your dew generation so you can refill quickly. The light skill focuses on area healing. When you activate it, you summon a water spirit that slowly heals you and all nearby allies for 7 seconds. It has a 20 seconds cooldown and gives you 20 dew immediately. Now, if your dew is full when you use this skill, you'll notice a small timer appear on the skill icon. That's your window to press the light skill again before it disappears, and if you do this in time, you'll consume all of your dew to unleash a massive instant burst heal to everyone nearby. It's a powerful emergency heal that can completely reset your team's HP bar. There's another small bonus too, that if your umbrella's heavy skill isn't on cooldown, you'll summon the canopy automatically, however this isn't very useful. So, to summarize, the light skill gives you a healing spirit that heals over time and generates dew, and if you're at full dew, you can recast it within the short timer for a huge burst of heal that consumes all of your dew. Because of how these two skills work, the Fan doesn't have a fixed rotation, it's more about responding to the situation, but in general it's better to start with the heavy skill first since it consumes dew, and then use the light skill after to recover some of it. Here's a nice combo example. Start with the heavy skill to consume 50 dew and begin the 6-second heal over time, then use the light skill to summon the water spirit and regain 20 dew. During the timer of your light skill, throw in a few heavy attacks to regenerate even more dew, and if you reach 100%, you can trigger your light skill again to make a huge instant burst healing for all your team. Now let's put everything together and go over the full combo using both weapons. You'll want to start always with the umbrella. Begin by using the light skill to give your team 20% damage buff, then use the heavy skill to release the floating canopy next to you. Once that's done, switch to your Fan. With the Fan, you can use light attacks to deal some damage or heavy attacks if you want to heal and generate dew. When your team needs more healing, you can go for the combo we talked about earlier. Start with the heavy skill to heal over time, then the light skill to summon the water spirit and add in a few heavy attacks to build in more dew. If you reach the full dew while the timer for your light skill is active, press it again to trigger the huge burst heal that will instantly heal everyone and even activate your umbrella's canopy if it's available. After that, just keep attacking, use light combos to deal a bit of damage and heavy combos to heal and refill. Once the enemy becomes staggered, especially if you're in a team, it's time to switch back to the umbrella. Start by using your light skill again to refresh the damage buff and store the floating canopy, then hold your charge heavy attack to send the umbrella spinning forward. Each hit will extend the stagger duration, giving your team a huge opening. Once that's done, activate your heavy skill again to launch the canopy and go back to your fan. From there, everything resets and you just repeat the whole process. If you're playing solo, the idea is very similar, but instead of switching between umbrella and fan, you'll probably want to combine one of these two healing options with a DPS weapon. For solo play, I recommend using the Nameless Sword since it's free early on, it's very flexible and extremely strong. You can combine it with the fan, in which case you use the sword for dealing damage and the fan for healing whenever you need, it's simple and very safe to use, or you can combine it with the sword and the umbrella. You'd start with the umbrella, activate the light skill for the buff, then the heavy skill to summon the floating canopy, and switch to your sword to attack. If you're staggered the enemy, there's no need to extend it, just go in with your sword and finish them off. Once the 30-second cooldown of your umbrella skill is ready, switch back, press the light skill to refresh the buff and retract the canopy, then press the heavy skill again to relaunch it and keep attacking with your sword. And that's it for the Silkbind Deluged Style healer guide for Whirlwind Smith. I hope you find it helpful. If you did, don't forget to leave a like and I'll see you in the next one. Take care and see you soon.